Okay, well, welcome everybody to our third call. We are so excited that you're on and you're so committed during this super, super busy time of the year. We have holiday parties, we have shopping, we have school events, and we're still working so hard to build our business and to really set ourselves up for 2017, right? We know that what we do in the fourth quarter of the year is so important because that really, sets us up for super success for the next year, right? So right now we're planting a lot of seeds. Today we're signing a lot of people up, and we're going to continue to do that through the end of the year. So, Sean, I just want to tell you a little bit about this group. These guys had to opt in for this group. So awesome. They had to, let Dana and I know that they were going to be committed. They have to be on every single Zoom. So we have 2 Zooms a week. We have every Wednesday night at 10 o'clock and every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., which is 7 a.m. for some people. And they're still getting up and they're still getting on. And then we have a call to action. I know, isn't that wonderful? Yeah. We have a call to action, and they're being held accountable to themselves and to the group, and they're posting and letting us know how many people they're adding to Real People, Real Results, how many people they're connecting with every day and every week, and they are really rocking it. They're doing an amazing job. So I just want to commend you guys for staying committed in week 2, and we do have another 3 weeks to go after this. So keep it up, because we know sometimes when you start groups like this, the attendance is great in the beginning, but then it can start to dwindle in the end. But that won't be you guys, and I just know it. So I just want to start by introducing myself. Maybe some of you don't know me. My name is Rachel Gershowitz, and I'm a Crystal Executive 2-star. And I am super excited to be with Isagenix. I have actually been in the industry for 17 years. I started in network marketing when my kids were babies. They were like 1, 3, and 4 years old. My oldest is going to be 22 in February. My middle son is 20, so 1 just graduated from college last week. The other one's in college, and then I have a 17-year-old daughter. So their whole entire lives, I've been able to stay home with them while building an incredible business. And so this is my 3rd company. My first company I was with for 10 years. I learned a lot through that company. It really helped kind of mold me into who I am today. Back then, I was a super shy stay-at-home mom. If you didn't say hi to me first, I would probably not say hi to you, and not because I was snotty, but because I was just scared of people. And, through doing things that I was afraid of each and every day, I learned to overcome some of those fears. I jumped into my 2nd company. I was with them for 6 years. So as you can see, I don't hop from company to company over 17 years, 10 years for the first one, 6 years for the second one. But, I was getting a little bit restless. There were some things that weren't really lining up with me. I had a hard time. I had made it to the top of that company in the top 100, but I had a really hard time helping my friends and family and teammates do what I did. And it just became harder, and it just kind of was just making me feel bad. And so for about 2 years, I kind of stuck it out. And then over the summer decided that it was time for me to start looking. And I also was looking for products that were going to help me with my personal health goals. And Lynn and I, we were friends from our first company. And I had been watching her for about 5 years and just seeing all the amazing things that she was doing. And so I decided on a day that I was by myself for about 3 weeks while everybody went on vacation. My husband was out of town. We were in the middle of closing on houses, so I was sitting out at my parents', and they went out of town. And so it was just me and like 3 Yorkies. And I had a lot of time to think, a lot of time to pray, a lot of time to research. And that morning I called Lynn. I just knew as soon as I heard her voice, it was all over. I was moving on. So I am just thrilled. I met Sean in Arizona a couple of times. I've been out there 3 times, went and met with the owners, and just I wanted to meet the corporate staff and just really make sure that I was making a good educated decision. And I've got to tell you, it's been about 5 months, and it has been amazing. I feel better than I felt in 7 years. The business side of things, oh my goodness, the compensation plan, when I learned about it, I was excited. And then I kept studying it to make sure that I really understood it. And I just kept getting more and more excited. But then when I learned about the leadership pools, for me, that was a little bit different than anything that I had ever been used to. My other two companies didn't have anything like that. So it took a little bit for me to really wrap my head around it. And Sean has been great and just really explaining that. And we've done a couple of Zooms. And now that I've been able to play in the pools, I really think I got it. Because now he messages me with my number at the end of the month, and I already have the number figured out. So, so I'm good. But it's been incredible. You know, I think the first month that I was able to play in the pool, I was in the director pool for a week, and I earned $1,000 in that. I was in the executive pools for just a couple of weeks and earned $5,000 in that. And then I've been in the 2 to 3 star pools over the last 2 months. And am I allowed to share those numbers, Sean? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so 19,000, like 19,800 the month before last, and then 19,700 in this month. So you guys, this is why we're doing this for you. We really want you, over the course of the 5 weeks, we have incredible speakers lined up for you to really, really explain to you all the different aspects of this business. But tonight, I want you to get a pen and get a paper out. Sean is going to put some visuals up for you so that you can really soak it in. But if you don't understand it right off the bat, do not panic. This is going to be recorded. I'm going to put it up on the page. You could watch it a couple of times. And then I want you to come to me or go to Dana and ask questions, because we can totally help you figure this out and explain it until you understand. And even if you don't understand it right now, once you get to play in the director pools and once you get to play in the executive pools, it's going to start clicking. You're going to really start to understand it. And you're going to go, why did it take me so long to get to executive? Because it is amazing. Not only do you get your daily and your weekly pay, but at the end of the month, one of your paychecks, usually around the 15th, right? The closest Monday to the 15th of the month, they tack on your pool money, and you just like open up your thing on Monday morning, and it's like, it's incredible. It's just incredible. So I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm just going to pass it over to you, Sean, and let you just take it away.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I almost wish you wouldn't stop talking, because it makes it so much easier for me, and you're amazing.
Well, thank you.
Really setting up everyone on this call for success. And that's what I love about people like Rachel here at Isagenix, is they're so concerned about really helping you get the most out of what's available to you. Now, some of you are probably, you heard what Rachel did just in the pools alone and thinking, wow, like that's amazing, right? That's what I love about this industry. When I first started on the corporate side, 13, 14, it's like, I don't know, 15 years now. This is the second company I've been with. I was with my previous network marketing company for 13 years. And I just remember one of my first jobs was actually to print and fold and mail commission checks. And I just remember seeing what was possible in this industry, and it just blew my mind. And so I love seeing people be successful at this. And I really hope that what we share with you tonight is going to give you some more confidence and some more vision as to what's possible with Isagenix. With greater vision comes greater motivation. With clearer vision comes greater motivation. And so that's what we want. My objective here tonight is to give you a little bit more clear path, clear vision of what's available, so that maybe you'll have that motivation to go after what's available for you tonight. So with that in mind, I do want to get a feel for, if you can just maybe raise your hand, how many of you, this is your first network marketing company that you've been with? Just raise your hand. Awesome. So there's a few of you, and there's a lot of you that have been with other companies. Awesome. So just like Rachel said, if any of this is new to you, don't get overwhelmed. Just the more you go through it, the more you hear it, you'll just pick it up, and it'll start to click and make sense. But with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and throw up a presentation. Before I do that, let me change one thing on here real quick. Just need to get the view right here. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now. Is it up?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. That's me. So with this call, we're going to go over the leadership pools. And so here's a summary of what we want to, if I can get my slides to move. Okay, there we go. So what we're going to cover tonight is really briefly the roadmap, like I talked about already, for rank advancement and bonuses, rank advancement bonuses in the pools. I want to give you some helpful definitions, some really basic definitions, because as we go throughout this, you're going to hear these words come up. And so I think it'll be really helpful for you to kind of jot these down. Make sure you get kind of familiar with these definitions. We're going to go over how it all works. And then we're going to give you an overview of the director and the executive leadership pools. And then I want to give you a few examples and some of the resources that you can go back to. Obviously, you have Rachel and Dana as great resources, and we have some great tools out there as well that will help you understand what we're talking about tonight. And then the last thing is I want to share with you the secret to the pools. So let's dive right in. Now, before we get into this too much, just with anything else, we want to be really clear that, whatever you do with Isagenix is really based on your commitment. Any income earnings that we talk about, it really varies by person and what you're committed to doing, what kind of experience you bring to the table. Some people, if this is your first time, it may take you a little bit more time and effort to develop those skills. Maybe speaking to people isn't an issue, and maybe it goes really quickly for you. So it all just depends on where you're at with it. But you've already heard what Rachel's been able to do with this. And again, you've also heard that she's taken 10 years of that consistent and persistent commitment to this industry. So with that in mind, here's where we start. Roadmap to stepping up the ranks. Now, what I love about this is it's just very clear. How many of you have heard of consultant, manager, director, executive, right? But how do the bonuses and how do the pools play into that to really help you through that progression? Because really with Isagenix, we put money into the commission plan, into bonuses to help you initially, because we know that that's a very important time for you to be successful and cover costs and things like that. But all along the way, there's these additional bonuses to just help you keep going and moving to that next level and just increasing your income. So with consultant, you see that's $50 for your rank advancement bonus. And step 2 is to go to manager. How many managers do we have on the call? Awesome. I can't quite see everyone, but I'm assuming there's a lot of hands up. And if not yet, there's going to be even more. So step 2 is to go manager. And that's really having 2 people that you've personally enrolled and helping them get 2 people, I should say 2 customers, right, that are ordering product. And then that helps you become a manager. We're going to talk a little bit more about those rank advancements as well. But then you have, at a manager, you can get $250 if you do that in your first 60 days. And from what I understand, everyone on this call is pretty committed to doing 2 consultants every week. And that's awesome. That's going to get you to manager really quickly. So that would be step 2 if you do that. And step 3 goes right into 5-cycle bonus. So when you've cycled 5, or when you get the 5 cycles, you get an additional bonus. So on top of the commissions that you get from cycling 5 times, we're going to give you a $500 bonus. And again, these are your rank advancement bonuses. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those because I really want to get into the pools. But the pools start to come into effect when you hit director. So that's really step 4 here is the director bonus, but also you can start to play in the director pool. Now, how many of you are from Arizona? Yeah, so if you're from Arizona, you know that we like to swim in the pools. We like to play in the pools, right? Well, those aren't the pools we're talking about, but these are pools where you can earn commissions, and these are even better pools to play in. But the director pool is, you can earn up to $2,500 in the director pool each time you do it for 3 consecutive months. So that's pretty exciting. How many of you could benefit from, what kind of an impact would $2,500 in addition to what you already be making with Isagenix do for you? Just think of what you've spent on Christmas this year so far, what kind of a Christmas would that make if you just got $2,500 in your checking account, right? So that'd be awesome. Now, step 5 is your executive bonus, that when you go executive, you get that $1,000 if you do it in your 6 months to be Crystal Executive, right? And then you can start to play in the executive pool, and that can give you $5,000 every time you do that. So it really keeps on going. We have the 1-star bonus that you can get, and then you just you can continue to play. For the 1-star bonus, you don't have to be an executive, but when you reach executive, this is something I want to really drive home. There's bonuses even if you don't maintain executive, but it's really there to help you get back up to executive. Because when you're at executive, that's when you can really get the most out of everything that's available to you. And Rachel talked about the commission she's getting. She's in that 2 to 3-star leadership pools, and that's where she's really making that kind of money. So if that's the kind of thing that you're looking forward to doing, that you want to do, you know you need to get to executive, paid as executive, 2 to 3-star pool, and that's where you're going to start to see some results like Rachel has done. So hopefully that kind of gives you a very simple picture of maybe where you're at. Maybe you can see where you're at on that slide and where you need to go next. And then I would say, if you're not sure how to rank advance or what that means to rank advance to the next rank, definitely get back with Rachel and Dana, and they can help you with that as well. Make sure you're clear on what your goals are to reach those next steps. But that's how these pools are designed to really support you as you're advancing throughout those ranks. So let's talk a little bit more about some helpful definitions, okay? So one definition that I want everyone to get familiar with is paid as rank. So this is a daily calculation based on your active status. So let me just ask, what is an active status? And I realize we're all muted, so I'll just go ahead and answer that. Rhetorical question, I guess. But active status means that you have 100 BV within a 30-day period, right? So it's not your active rank, but it's your active status. So we look every day, the computer looks and says, okay, is this member, do they have 100 BV within a 30-day period? And if it says yes, then you are an active status. If no, then you're not active status and you can't qualify for any pools. So you do need to be active status with 100 BV in a 30-day period. And then it takes a look at how many personally enrollments you have that are also paid as consultants. And that helps determine your rank, right? Because if you have 2 personally enrolled consultants on your team, that means you are a manager, right? And so on for director and executive. So paid as rank is just a rank that we calculate every day to see if you're active and how many and what your rank would be for that day. And then we have active rank. So your active rank is a weekly calculation. So basically we take a look at the whole week and we see, okay, what was your lowest paid as rank for the commission week? And so basically, let's say you're a manager on Tuesday, but one of your consultants on Wednesday is not active, right? So they wouldn't be a paid as consultant, right? So for that day, you wouldn't technically be a manager for that day, right, as your active rank. So that's what we're looking at with your active rank, is we're taking a look at your whole week and we're seeing what's your lowest paid as rank. And then that's what we're going to use for these pools. And that's important to know because we have a director pool and an executive pool. And once you, and so we'll just remember that because we'll talk a little bit more about that. So hopefully that makes sense about paid as rank and active rank. And then another thing that we want to just touch on really quickly is it's called 4PET, which is basically your 4-level personally enrolled team. So those members that you've personally enrolled. And this doesn't play out too much until you really hit into the 2 to 3-star pool. So we're not going to talk a ton about this, but I just want to kind of introduce the concept to you so that you understand how important it is as you're building these consultants to focus on personally enrolling a team, because that plays into the pools as well. Because a lot of times people are tempted to rank advance by making somebody a consultant. And what I mean by that is, let's say I go out and talk to somebody, I don't personally enroll them. I give them to somebody else to personally enroll. Well, technically that you're not really building a solid team of 4 PET, and that's not going to help you necessarily with the pools. So I think that's a really important behavior to understand up front, is that you do want to personally build a team so that you can really leverage these pools later on. And you want to help other people personally enroll and show them how they can do that themselves, if that makes sense. So 4 PET basically works like this. If I personally enroll Rachel, that's my first level PET, personally enrolled team. Now, when Rachel goes and personally enrolls somebody, that new person, let's say it's Dana, Dana is my second level personally enrolled team member. So I didn't personally enroll Dana, but Rachel did, and that helps, that's my second level, but that's Rachel's first level. So it just goes like that for 4 levels. And again, I don't want you to get too confused about this structure right now, but just understand that later on in the pools, we do take a look at your personal cycles and your 4 PET cycles. And so I just want to introduce that term 4 PET to the group right now. And Rachel, feel free to pipe in if you have any questions or if you think we're going. Okay, so now here's how it all works in a nutshell. Basically, all of the pools are designed around growth. So we want to see you grow. So the first thing is to be qualified for that particular pool. So whether it's the director pool or the executive pool or the 2 to 3 star pool. And then what we need to do to determine your growth is we need a place to start measuring from. So we determine your benchmark. So your benchmark is where we're going to measure you to see if you're growing or not. And then we measure your growth, how much you've grown from that benchmark, right? So if you can see my hand, this is our benchmark. And then we measure, are you growing or are you not growing? Okay. And then we just, based on your growth, we calculate how many shares you would earn and then how much the share value is. The last 2 aren't really critical for you to understand. The main thing is getting qualified, knowing what your goal is, and that's your benchmark and how much you want to grow. Okay. So we're going to move on to getting qualified. The pools are open to US, Canada, Puerto Rico, Australia, New Zealand associates. So I think everyone on the call is good with that. You must be active rank director, executive, golden circle, or platinum circle, depending on which pool we're talking about. And we'll go over that some more. But you must grow over your benchmarks on your personal cycles and your 4 PET for these pools. So again, there's that 4 PET, and it's your personal enrollments and how many levels they personally enroll, 4 levels down. Okay. Mm-hmm. So with that, hopefully I'm not going through this too quickly, but we have your net cycle benchmark. So this is basically, we're going to find out where's the benchmark, where do we want to start you from, where are we going to start measuring from. And so we take a look at a rolling 4-week or a 13-week average paid personal and 4 PET cycles. So basically, for the director pools, let's say, we're going to take 4 weeks in the past, and we're going to get an average 4 weeks of what you've done in the last 4 weeks and make that your benchmark. Or if it's the executive pools, we're going to take a 13-week average. I think I got that right. We'll go over that more as we get into those pools. So for example, we've got week 1, which was ending on 9/18/2016, and there were 5 cycles that week, okay? Week 2, there were 8 cycles. Week 3, 9 cycles. Week 4, 6 cycles, right? So it's just an average. So we add those up, and I'm not good at the math, but we should add those up, and equals 28. And then we divide it by 4, and we get 7. Hopefully, check the math on that. I didn't do the math in my head, but that's what it should work out to be. So basically, you're just getting the average, right? You've got, add the 4 weeks up, 5, 8, 9, 6 should equal 28. Divide that by 4 because there were 4 weeks, and it gives you 7. All right. I don't know if that's me drawing on the screen or not. I'm still figuring out Zoom in a lot of ways, but we'll just keep going. Hope you like my artwork there. So, so I don't know if there's a way to erase it. Do you know? I won't spend too much time on it, but yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
Is somebody else drawing on there?
I don't know.
Huh.
Okay, so now
Sean, this is Jennifer. You can erase it by tapping on the bottom of your screen where you're doing the annotations. Hey, and if you do, if you click either the eraser, yeah, and I think you have to or you can do the undo, and you tap it for however many times to go backwards, basically to erase. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Jen.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
I saw annotation there, but I didn't know if I should venture into that or not. Okay. So now that we have our benchmark, so if that makes sense, we take your last 4 weeks, we just add up your cycles, divide it by 4, and that gives us our benchmark, right? So in this example, we have a benchmark of 7. And let me see if I can change okay, there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to measure your growth. So we're going to take, okay, in the period, in the weeks that the bonus we're looking at for the pool, so in the month, so for the director bonus, it's going to start on 10/30 and go to 11/20. And so that first week, how many cycles did you do? You did 10 cycles. Your benchmark from the previous 4 weeks is 7. So we just take 10 minus 7 equals 3. So you grew by 3 cycles, right? Week 2, we're going to take 7 cycles that you did, and your benchmark is 7. So 7 minus 7 is 0, and just goes through each week like that. So you're at the end result, you just add that all up. And we call that your monthly net cycle growth. So just how much you've grown in the month based on your benchmark, and that would equal 3. So now we know that you've grown by 3 cycles. So you can just see weekly net cycle growth, and then that's your monthly net cycle growth. So now that we know your monthly net cycle growth, which is basically just how much you've grown for that month, the next step is really to just figure out how many shares we earned. So shares are also known as qualified net cycle growth. That's the fancy word for it, QNCG. It's just the share. So, and there's a formula to figure this out. So the formula looks like this. You've got your monthly net cycle growth, which is just how many cycles you grew over your benchmark, right? So in this case, it's 3. And then we divide it by the number of weeks in the pool. And again, you don't really need to know all this math, but initially, but it's good to go over it like Rachel was explaining in the beginning. So the number of weeks in the pool for that month were 4 weeks, right? And then we multiply that by the number of weeks that you qualified. So what we mean by this is, for the director pool, you need to have a active rank of director, right? And so if you were only director for 2 weeks of the 4 weeks, then you only qualified 2 weeks. So we put a 2 there. And then we just do the math, and it equals 1.5 shares. Okay, so again, we're taking how much you've grown in the month, we're taking how many weeks the bonus month is, and then how many of those weeks were you actually a director, right? If you were a director all 4 weeks, we'd put a 4 in there. If you were a director 1 of the 4 weeks, we'd put a 1 in there, right? If you were 0, then you wouldn't get anything, obviously. So that equals your share, 1.5. And there's 2 types of, so then the next step is just to figure out, well, how much is that share worth? Great, I got 1.5 shares, but how much money is that? And so there's 2 types of shares. There's a fixed amount where every time you know that share is going to equal that amount. And then there's a variable amount. So each month it'll be a different amount depending on how many other people qualify in the pool as well. So a fixed and a variable. And so here's an example of a variable share. So let's say you've got a pool that is going to pay out a maximum of $75,000. And overall, the total shares earned $500. So the share value is $150 per share. I believe that's just taking the 75,000 divided by 500 to equal 150 per share, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you determine the share value. So if you had 1.5 shares, you times it by the share value, and that means you're going to earn $225. So for those of you that love math, you're probably just like digging into this and loving it. If you're anything like me,
right?
If you're anything like me, this is like whoop, way over your head, way too much. It's funny, when I went to see my college counselor, he looked at my test scores and he said, "Yep, you're a communications major." So I'm right there with you. I know where you're at. If math is
Don, I have a question for you. So the executive and the 2-star pools, are they they're set? They're fixed at $18 a share, right? The variable is the director pool's a variable?
Director pool is a variable, and the executive pool, yeah.
The executive pool is variable as well? Is it both fixed and variable?
They're both. Well, so that's the next slide here. We have 6 leadership pools. So there's a director pool, there's the executive pool, and then there's the 2-star and above pools. And so for each pool, there'll be a different fixed or variable. And we're going to go over, for the purpose of this call, we're going to touch on director and executive. I wasn't sure if I should get too much into the 2-star at this point.
Director and executive would be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're going to touch on this time. But so we can circle back on the 2-star. So the director's leadership pool. So this is just an overview of what that pool is. So the monthly pool is $75,000 US that will pay out. And so that means that $75,000 will be split up amongst whoever's participating. So it is a variable amount, because again, if we have 100 people that qualify this month, we're still going to pay out, the $75,000. So those 100 people get to split that up, basically. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And so again, this is for the US, Canada, Puerto Rico, Australia, New Zealand. And just to give you an idea, I'll do that at the end. So the active rank for this is director, so no executives. So only directors can participate in the director leadership pool. So once you become an achieved rank of executive, you can no longer play in the director pool. Now, to some of you, that may sound a bit discouraging to advance to executive. And I've even heard some people say, make sure you get your 3 months as director before you become executive. When you do the math and you really break it out, it's not in your best interest to stay at director. If you can move on to executive, move on to executive, because you will get so much more being an active paid as executive than you can be at a director. Executive is the highest rank, and it opens up everything. Everything's available to you. So definitely don't sit at director, move on to executive as quickly as you can. When we take a look at the businesses that are really growing and people are getting paid, it's because they're all making it to executive. So I don't want that to mislead anyone with this, but basically once you become director and if you hit executive pool, then you won't be able to qualify for a director, but you'll be able to qualify in those executive pools. So number of weeks to qualify for the pool month is 1 week. So if for 1 week, you're a director, then you can start to play in that director pool. And we use a 4-week benchmark like we used in the example, kind of walking through this. And for this pool, what's really great is you don't really need to know your 4 PET at this point. We really bring that in later on after you've started to build up a team and you've got some personal enrollments going on. So at this point, we're really just looking at your personal cycle growth. So it's just your personal cycles. So that's pretty awesome. So now if you're at this level, you just need to focus on your personal cycles, right? And building that team. Now, we want to see you at least increase your monthly net cycle growth. So we want to see you grow by at least 2 cycles to participate in this pool. And that really does help protect you in a lot of ways, because you can hit director and maybe a couple of times, but if you're not growing, we want to make sure that you've set it up so that you're growing and having at least a 2 cycle growth so that you can continue to play in that director pool for the 3 consecutive months or advance on to executive. So the number of months to participate, 3 consecutive months. So as soon as you start to if you qualify 1 week, your 3 months starts to count from there. So it's really important to, once you hit it, to just make the most out of it and keep going at it, pushing at it really hard for those 3 months. And again, it's a variable pool. So I don't know if there's any questions at this point for the director leadership pool. That's kind of a quick down and dirty overview, but at the end, I'm going to show you where you can access these leadership pools, flyers. Maybe you already know, but hopefully that'll be useful for some of you as well.
Perfect.
Good?
Good.
Awesome. So the director leadership pool, we already kind of mentioned this. The first month the member participates in the pool. So it's not when you first reach director. Again, you can reach director, but we want to see you have that 2 cycles of growth before you actually qualify for the pool. So it's not just when you become director, it's when you actually qualify for the pool the first time. So that's really important to note too. It's not just when you become a director, it's when you actually qualify for the pool that 3 months starts. And now this part, it may not make a lot of sense to some of you. Basically, we're just looking at your cycle growth. This is all this means, the next 2 bullet points, is we're just looking at your cycle growth. There's other ways to earn commissions, and for certain promotions, sometimes we do trip incentives, like leader in action, where we'll do a trip incentive. And sometimes we'll include other bonus commissions into the calculation. This is just saying that we're only looking at your cycle growth for these pools. So we don't count in any PIB cycle equivalents and things like that. But there are caps. So there is a cap depending on how much cycle growth you have. So if you have 1 to 5, it'll be $500 cap, 6 to 10, 1,000, or 11 and more, it's $2,500 for the 3 months. So each month you could get $2,500. That's the most you could get out of the director pool. Again, we want to encourage you to move on to executive, where you can get really the most money. So there are those caps. And so again, it's really in your best interest to keep pushing forward to that executive rank. Now, the executive and 1-star leadership pool. Let's spend a little bit of time on this if we can. So the executive and 1-star pool, the pool amount for this is a set $125 US. So again, it's variable and it's shared between those same markets. And then you do need to be an active rank of executive and 1-star golden circle. So having at least 1 to 19 cycles per week. So let's say, going back to those very beginning definitions, we've got your daily, so we've got your daily calculation and your weekly active rank, right? And so let's say you are an executive and you've cycled at least 1 to 19 times every day except for Saturday. You drop down to a director. That means that for that week, your active rank was director, not executive, because it takes a look at the entire week. So you want to maintain executive for the entire week to qualify for this. And it only takes 1 week as an active rank executive with 1 to 19 cycles to qualify for this executive pool. So once you do that, you'll be out of the director pool and you'll be into the executive pool. We use a 4-week benchmark. And we're really only looking at your personal. So it's the same benchmark basically as what you're used to at the director pool. But we only look at your personal cycle growth as well. So 4 PET doesn't really come into play until your 2 to 3-star pools. But again, I just wanted to introduce that concept to you early on so that you know kind of how to build your teams. Now, the number of months that you can participate in the executive pool is 6 consecutive months. So director pool was 3 consecutive months. Executive pool is 6 consecutive months. And again, it's variable. So again, it starts from the first month that you participate in the pool, not when you achieve executive. So for example, let's take another example where I'm a director, active rank director for 6 of the 7 days. And then one day my rank goes up to executive. Let me just ask you, I know you can't answer, but what would your what would your active rank be for that week? It would actually be director, because we take your lowest active rank for the week. So you wouldn't be able to, with that example, just because you hit executive for the one day in the week, you're not qualifying for the executive pool, right? Because to be in the executive pool, you have to be executive for every day of the week. So hopefully that kind of clears it up. Sometimes people think, oh, I hit executive, I get to play in the executive pool. Not necessarily. It's whether you've actually hit executive for all 7 days, and then you start to qualify for the pool. So again, cycles are we're looking at your personal cycles. We're not including PIB bonuses or executive match or anything like that. So keeps it very simple that way. There are payout caps also in the executive, so you can see those below. Up to $5,000 every month in the executive pool. And so obviously the goal, we're giving you that much more, but obviously we want you to move in to the 2 to 3 star pool where you can start to really start banking. But I mean, again, think of $5,000 on top of what you're already doing, right? And what would that mean to you? It's so huge. And so that's really where I think a lot of you want to get to. So here's a couple of examples. Now, if you go into your associate back office, and let me see, I'm gonna do this real quick. You should see a commission statement. How many of you, maybe by raise of hand, have already seen your commission statement like this? If you haven't, if you're not raising your hand, one of the things I would encourage you to do is to go into your associate back office. So go to Isagenix.com, go into your associate back office, log in, and take a look at your commission statement. This basically walks through what we just talked about. You've got your net cycle benchmark. Oops, let me go back. We've got your net cycle benchmark right here at 7. Can you see my mouse?
Yep.
Oh, you can? Okay, great. So we've got your net cycle benchmark right here, which you're probably getting familiar with as we talk through this. That's what we're going to measure your growth from. So you see that number drop down here into your benchmark, right? And then we've got your personal cycles, and we're gonna see, okay, it's the example we use. So we're just gonna find out how much you grew, and that gives us your monthly net cycle growth. And then we just calculate that out into how many shares you get and how much is the share worth. And so everything, the math that we just walked through, we put that out there for you as associates to see. We want you to know what you're doing, what your business is doing, how we're getting to these numbers. So that's really kind of the math behind your commission statement that's out there for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this share, and I want to just go into my other screen real quick so I can show you to make sure you really know where to get at this information. So hopefully you can see my internet browser now.
Yes.
Awesome. So you can see I've already logged into the back office of just a test account, basically. All the numbers are 0. So this person's not doing too well. But so basically you just go team, view compensation history. All right, team, view compensation history. And then you can select a date range, but there'll be all these dates. And you can just expand the date that you want to look at. You can see how much commissions, how many cycles, but you click view report. And that's where you're going to see those commission statements that show your pool information as well. So hold that information. Go back here to my presentation real quick. And just in this example, you can see, okay, we had 6 shares, and the share value was $268 for this particular case. And so they were capped at that $1,000. Okay, so that was the director pool example. Now if we advance to our executive pool, so on this one, again, you can view this in your associate back office, and it just walks you through the same thing. Let's see, this is taking a look at a 13-week net cycle. So this is actually getting into the 2 to 3 star bonuses. So I apologize for that. I thought this was the executive leadership with the 4-week benchmark, but this will be good. This will give you an idea that when you get into 2 to 3 star, instead of a 4-week benchmark, we're going to take a look at 13 weeks. And so that's what this is here. We're just taking a look. It's the same math, just different average. So we're taking a look at 13 weeks, adding that all up, dividing it by the 13 to get your personal cycle count. And we also take in, again, this is your 4 PET. So with those leadership, the 2 to 3 star pools, we start to look at not just your personal cycle benchmark, but we're going to look at your team. Are you building a team? Are you building those consultants and managers and helping people get up to director with you? And that's really where we feel like an executive leader should be focusing their time is growing themselves, but also helping others to accomplish the same thing. So that's why we incentivize you with the executive pool to be doing that with the 4 PET cycle count. So that's what that is, those two benchmarks. And then again, we just take a look at how much are you growing, and then how many shares does that give you, and what's the share value, and we calculate that out. So just another example of what it looks like in your back office. Oh, there's the numbers over there. Now for this one, they didn't hit the cap because the cap is much higher. So actually this one is a share value, sorry. So this is what, Rachel, you were talking about, that for the 2 to 3 star pools, it's a fixed value. So this one is a fixed value where you've got $15. They had 80 shares. And so 15 times 80 should equal that $1,200. So. All right, so one more resource that I want to point you towards is the Isagenix Business website, isagenixbusiness.com. If you go to the tools section and then click on flyers and PDFs, you can see I've highlighted the rank advancement bonuses. So going back to that stair step to consultant, manager, director, executive, step 5, 6, 7, 8, right? If you want to see those rank advancement bonuses, that's where they are right there. So you can pull up that flyer and get an idea. Okay, when I go executive, I'm going to, within this time frame, I'm going to get this much money, and I'm going to get the bonus pool. Start working on that as well. So those are the rank advancement bonuses, and then executive leadership pool and director leadership pool. So those flyers are right there as well, and that's going to walk through the qualifications that we talked about. And so if you want to go back and, review some of the information that we've talked about, that's where you're going to pull it up, is on those flyers. Now, something that's on those flyers I just want to draw your attention to is that we don't go off a calendar, like a calendar date. We go off of what's called a 4-4-5 schedule. So we don't take from the 1st of the month to the 30th or 31st. It's more of an accounting calendar from what I understand. And so we take a 4-4-5. So you can see that some weeks we will have 5 weeks, or sorry, some months we will have 5 weeks in the bonus pool month. So when we're actually calculating out that formula to see how much money you earned, and we take how many weeks in the month there were, or let's say you're trying to qualify for the pool in a certain month and you think it's a 4-week month, it's really important to know if it's a 4-week month or a 5-week month, right? Because you want to stay active for all 5 weeks so you can really get the most out of that pool. So let's say it's you're in the director pool, it's your 3rd month, and you're going to really get as much as you can in that 3rd month, and you push really hard in your 4th week and you think, oh, I'm done. But really there was a fifth week in that month. There's a whole week that you could have qualified for additional commissions. So check the calendar that's on the flyer where I showed you just before this to see when the start date is, when the end date is, and how many weeks are in that pool. Hopefully that gives you some clarity around that as well, because the worst call that I want to take is that you didn't realize there were 5 weeks in the pool and you didn't push hard to go get that, 5th week. So,
right.
And that creates some confusion at first too. So hopefully, that makes sense. And let's see, these are the benchmark dates. So if you're wondering when you're going to get paid, it's like Rachel said, we usually calculate it ends, and then we pay out a week in arrear, and so it usually ends up being around the 15th. Right here you can see bonus payment date. So you can see it's almost around the 15th every month. But if you're curious when you're going to get that big check, because it's already spent, hopefully not, that's where you can find that out. So what's the big secret to the pools? You've waited to the very end. You've listened to my boring monotone voice for this whole time. Sorry, I don't have a lot of jokes to throw at you during this presentation yet. I'm still working on that part, but the secret to the pools is really this: increase your cycles. Now, depending on which pool you're looking at, it's your personal cycles, or if you're doing 2 to 3 star pool, you want to do personal and 4 PET cycles. But so often I see associates getting started and they're really excited about the rank advancement bonuses, and definitely take advantage of those. But if you're really wanting to change the footprint of your financial future, it's really all about creating cycles on your team. And the pools are here to help you do that, to bridge that period of time where you're getting these rank advancement bonuses and you're working your way to building some really great income from the cycles. The pools are there to help you bridge that gap along the way. And if I can just share real quickly, the pool, we haven't always had these pools. In fact, I think they were launched in 2008 or shortly, right around there. And a little bit of history that you may or may not have heard already is that 2008 is right around the time that there's that big housing crisis, right? A lot of people were struggling. A lot of businesses were struggling. And it was really hitting Kathy Coover hard, seeing all these associates out there working really hard and going through all these really challenging times. And she actually said, instead of doing what a lot of companies were doing, downsizing, cutting back, trying to, become, just doing everything like that, Kathy actually said, how can we help these people? How can we give them more money? And that's where these pools came. So I hope you really get a sense that these pools are here for you to really make some money and to really benefit your lifestyle, your family, and have that kind of positive impact. Again, $500, $1,000, $2,500, $5,000 from the executive pools. What could that do for you in addition to what you're doing with your cycles? So I just love that about Isagenix. We're constantly looking for ways that we can get money into your pocket, and we appreciate your partnership. I appreciate you being on this call so late for some of you and being committed to your goals. And I just really appreciate everything that you're doing. And thank you, Rachel, for organizing this and being such a great leader.
Oh, well, thank you, Sean, so much for explaining that to us, because you guys, and I'm sure your head is spinning a little bit as mine was over the first 10 times that I saw the presentation. So we do have this recorded. We will get this on the page. You can watch it over and over. And like I said, if you have questions, come to Dana or I, and we'll answer them. And if we can't, we'll go to Sean, and Sean will help us answer them as well. But the main thing is you just want to focus. You want to eat, sleep, breathe, the ACMDE. You want to move through those ranks, and then you want to help your team members do the same thing. And then your cycles will just automatically start growing. So I just want to thank you all for coming. But before I let you go, we do have our call to action. And you guys did such a great job last week posting it all on our call to action post in the comments. And not commenting too many times. You guys went in and you edited. Dana, are you there? I think I heard you.
Yes, I'm here.
I can cut an app if you like.
Oh, you're back in your office and everything.
Yeah, my phone kept kicking me off, so I had to race home.
Okay, now do you want me to call to action, or you want me to?
No, go ahead, but I'm going to post a brand new week 2 graphic. So that will be where you guys will comment for this time.
Perfect. Yeah, look for the new post for this week. Okay, so here's your call to action, and we'll go ahead and we'll post this too if you can't write fast enough. So you want to continue to add 2 people every single day to Real People, Real Results for a total of 14 in a week. Okay, you want to add 1 to 2 content posts per day so that the people you're adding will see it, right? You want to text or message your local friends or family members that are not already on Isagenix, and you want to set up your calendar. So this is kind of the goal for this week. We're going to try and book our calendar, for the month of January, kind of try to fill it up. So you're going to ask your friends and your family members, hey, it's been a long time, or hey, it's been too long, or hey, we need to catch up. Would you love to meet for coffee or to go have lunch? What does your schedule look like after the first of the year? Okay, you're going to start now booking your calendar. I want you to think about it. If you're a doctor or if you have a business, an appointment-based business, if your calendar is not full of appointments, do you have a very good business, or are you going to start to panic? Right? You're going to start to panic. So we really want to focus on getting those appointments booked. Okay. You also, we did somebody needs to mute real quick. Okay. We also want to focus on having some local tasting parties after the first of the year. Now, Sari and I, we did a Getting Started Zoom on Monday, and it is recorded on the team pages. So if you haven't had a chance to watch that, make sure you do, because we have some really great tips, and we also have an Evernote that shows you exactly how to set up your house, exactly what to do at a tasting party. It's just another great way to gather people in front of you to try some of the products so you can share your excitement, and they are not going to leave your house without signing up. So the best thing that you can do is have 3 yourself, so that when you're calling and you're inviting people, you're giving them not a yes or no, can you come? You're giving them 3 different options. Sometime during the week in the evening that work. Sometime in the morning, maybe for moms that have kids at school, and maybe 1 on the weekend, okay? So 3 different tasting parties. You decide, put them on your books, then call and start inviting people or texting and inviting them. And then also asking some friends and family members that they will have a tasting party for you in their home with their circle of influence. And if you can book with coffees, with lunch appointments, one-on-ones, and do these tasting parties on top of all the messaging that we do, adding to Real People, Real Results, your business is just going to explode through the new year. Okay, do you guys have all of that? And if you couldn't write fast enough, no worries. We'll make sure we get that up on the team page, okay? And
can I just interject something, Rach?
Yes, please do.
I know we've gone so late, but this is all such good information. I want to say that every single tasting party that I've done has ended up with a couple to several new associates or preferred customers, really associates. So I can't stress it enough. I think it's an amazing idea. And I think right at the beginning of the year, or the week between Christmas and New Year's into the beginning of the year is going to be an awesome time to do that. So get a couple out of the way for you, and then, like Rach said, ask some people. But really, it's a great way to kind of catapult, and you can really cast that vision to people to help them get their products paid for, which means you're going to be creating consultants along the way, and that's going to help you promote.
That's right. I want to challenge you guys. 6 for success, 8 to be great, 12 to excel. Go have a ton of tasting parties. Get them on the books, okay? The more people you can share your story with, the better you're going to be. Okay, and new year, new you. I mean, everybody's looking for what we have. They want better bodies and bigger bank accounts, right?
Hey, Rachel, I'm going to send you something I think works great at tasting parties to help close the deal.
Oh,
Sound
that
good?
would be
Then
awesome.
you can share it with the group.
All right. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you
Awesome.
guys all for joining us, and have a good evening. And we will see you on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. We have some other good speakers lined up that you're going to absolutely love. All right. We'll see y'all later.
Hey.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks, Sean.